iRacing right now.
He's got traction, he's going around the outside of both of them! Maloney!
Oh, he's taking Anderson! Anderson's up to
Oh my God!
Big crash! Oh my goodness, half the field's going to get rolled!
It's very close. These guys are want to make their way through the field very quickly.
Oh, there we go!
Oh no! That's massive! This is it! This is over! I can't believe this! Oh my God!
God, what?
Welcome to Phillip Island. We're just off the coast of Australia to finish off the fourth season of the Ozicar Turbo Touring Car Championship right here on Simspeed TV, just south of Melbourne. This place lays host to some truly fantastic action. And that Google Earth shot, is this not an island, Cam?
Well, it technically is, because you have to cross a bridge to actually get to it. So it's on the mainland, so to speak, but it's on an island as well.
Okay. I've got my geography lesson. Those Google Earth shots are pretty cool, though, giving us a bird's eye view of the racetrack, and this is hosting our season finale, being brought to you by Sinfinity, Starways Photography, and, of course, RSW Graphics. My name is Ryan Jones. Cameron Dance alongside me, and Jay Kennedy behind the scenes, as always, getting straight into the action for race number 1. Qualifying has been run and won by Jackson Harlow, the championship leader, but it's not all his way today. He wasn't fastest in practice. The man next to him on the front row, Riley Preston, is challenging. Dean Ross will start from third. Mario Vartanian on the outside of row 2. Sal Galenti and Kobe Williams are on row 3, and then Reese Howe and Reese Gardner starting 7th and 8th, Summer Mizomo and Daniel Heddershide, your top 10.
Then we're going to have Andrew Hobby and Sam Ross in 11th and 12th. 13th, 14th, and 15th is going to be Caleb Hydes, Tim Court, and Eddie Beswick rounding out the top 15, with Josh Cavallaro and Ashley Norman in 16th and 17th. 18th to Benjamin Daly and Matt Dunphy and Isaac Edwards rounding out the top 20 on 19th and 20th.
Pariana Stakis and Bradley Wingard line up on row 11. It had a Grant Matterford and Matthew Spencer, Jack Patterson, Cameron Cousins, and Jake Sperry, the final 3 drivers, to set times, and they complete our 27-car field. Of course, 3 live race control delegates in the server as well, to help cast a judicial eye over proceedings. It's a pretty standard track temp of 26 degrees, estimated race distance of 10 laps for our 15-minute sprint to open up the evening, and then a 25-minute feature to follow after that, and another qualifying session. Harlow has a 27-point lead, 50 points for the win, and a point is taken away for every position further down the order you get. So if he finishes at the back, and Dean Ross has a good race, he's second in the championship. Who knows how close it might be heading into race 2. For Harlow, though, he needs to get away cleanly, and then he'll be eyeing off making it win number 6 or 7 or 8 in a row. He has had a stellar run so far this season, and Riley Preston, probably the only driver that's been able to challenge him, and he's back now for this season finale. Time runs out, the lights come on, and the revs rise for the drivers. The green flag from Phillip Island is in the air, and we are underway. Good start from Harlow, and not a great start from Preston, though. Dean Ross and Mario Vartanian ganging up to try to get by him down into turn number 1. Ross will prevail, and Preston will slot in ahead of Vartanian, who's off the racetrack.
Off the track, and it's possibly going to result in a collision here. No, everyone just manages to avoid him, so very, very lucky for Vartanian, but he's dropped well down the order, just in front of Mizomo and also the car of Eddie Beswick, so he's just outside the top 10 now. There's more cars going off in the background as well, but front of the field, great start by Harlow, and a great start by Preston as well to come back at Dean Ross to get back in a second.
Good heads-up driving from Mizomo there, cost himself a lot of time, but it was better than the alternative, which was having an incident with the rejoining Vartanian, as it is Harlow from Riley Preston, from Dean Ross, Kobe Williams, and Sal Galenti your top 5. Good start from Williams. He's picked up 2 spots then off the line through the first half of the lap. Helped, of course, by Vartanian's excursion off the outside of turn 1 as we run up the hill and across into Lukey Heights and dive back downwards towards MG. Very inviting, that inside line for a move and a lunge up the inside, but a lot harder to actually execute than it seems.
Especially with the fact that the next corner is actually a left-hander, so you end up disadvantaged if you try to go around the outside. In these front-wheel drive cars, it's a little bit more difficult to try and do that. But as you can see, Preston drafting right up to the back bumper of Harlow here as they head down the front straight, down towards turn number 1. Preston is going to be on the outside as they head into turn number 1. They're going to go side by side through turn 1.
Boy.
On the outside is just going to hold on to it. 2 wheels nearly on the curve, but he prevails and is going to take the lead of this race off Harlow.
It is well and truly on, but this is maximum risk right now for Harlow. He's got one hand on the trophy. If he makes a mistake and he damages his car, who knows what could happen, because Dean Ross is right there in third. He's second in the championship. He needs to finish ahead of Harlow no matter what, who ducks and weaves into the hairpin. He ended up on the inside. He ends up getting into the quarter panel of Preston. They emerge out the other side. But this is playing for keeps. It's a late dive into Siberia. He can't carry the momentum, though.
Harlow trying everything he possibly can to try and find a way on by Preston, but just not going to be able to do it this time around. So he's going to have to wait till they get onto that front straight if he can't get it up the inside of MG. But he looks again up the inside at Lukey Heights, but no move going to be happening this time. Is he going to make a move at MG? No, but he's going to have to cover from Dean Ross, who's going to look to make a move, but no gap there, unfortunately.
Behind them as well, Reese Howe was looking at Galenti, looking at Williams. So there's 2 3-way scraps up inside the top 10. And so much action right now. I'll quickly run you through your top 10 once they cross the line here in my iRacing updates. The color overlays have just frozen, but we can still bring you these live pictures, which is what it's all about right here on Simspeed TV. As we cross the line, it's Preston from Harlow, Dean Ross in third, Williams leading that second train, with Galenti and Reese Howe right behind. Little gap back to Gardner, and then Mario Vartani and Mizomo and Bestwick, your top 10. Bestwick's come up 5 spots. Good start for him.
Certainly a very good start for Eddie Beswick to come up 5 spots from starting in 15th as well. So moving up the order is Beswick, but still that battle continues at the front of the field, and Ross is looking even closer now to possibly getting a move done here down at the hairpin. He looks to the inside of Jackson Susan Harlow. Harlow looks to the outside of Preston, and nearly contact between all 3 of them. Bit of bumper-to-bumper rubbing, but nevertheless, it's excellent racing at the front.
Yeah, Harlow moved it over there in the braking zone, potentially, and that's why Ross very almost careened straight into the back of that G-Drive Eximia esports car. As here we go, driving around the outside of Simon Mizomo, who's now losing out. And this could be tight as we run through Hayshed side by side, 2x2. That's Mizomo trying to fend off Sam Ross, who ends up on the outside for Lukey Heights. It doesn't work. Andrew Hobby behind them as well, having a moment. But look up the racetrack. Williams defending as Mizomo now tries to get by Heddershide. Oh, it's all happening early on in Phillip Island.
Yeah, it certainly is. And there's still 10 minutes to go, boys. You've still got plenty of racing left, but no one's leaving anything on the table. Everybody's playing for keeps here tonight.
This is phenomenal. Preston's broken away by just a little bit now over Jackson Harlow, who sits about 2 car lengths behind him into the braking zone for turn 1. Dean Ross just behind them as well. Little bit of contact further behind between Gardner and Howe as they ran wheel to wheel into the corner. Gardner was on the outside and found out that there's not too much grip out there at turn number 1. So easy to drop the left sides off the exit of the racetrack when you exit that corner, just like we saw Vartanian do on lap number 1, Cam.
Yeah, certainly, especially on cold tyres when they're now on warm tyres, and everybody's looking for positions as Williams defending from Howell here, and now Vartanian's trying to get a move on with Reese Gardner as well. Gardner looked to try and make a move on Howell at the hairpin, but no gap for him that time around. And now Vartanian is all over the back of Reese Gardner here, who's a little bit stuck here with the fact that Howell's just dropped 2 wheels into the dirt, and it's going to allow Gardner to try and look for a move here again.
Let's see, does he set him up through Lukey Heights, go for the wide entry, get the power down early, and then dive to the inside for MG. That's exactly what he's tried to do, but Howell is wise to it and covers it off. And it's now a 5-way scrap for 4th because Kobe Williams and Galenti are just up the road from these guys as well. They are 2.5 seconds away from the lead of the race. That's a mistake for Gardner, and that allows Vartanian to get back by.
Yeah, so just dropping 2 wheels off on the dirt on the exit is Gardner, so that's allowed Vartanian to come on through, but now they're going to be side by side down the front straight, and Reese getting squeezed all the way on the left-hand side. He's going to try and go around the outside is Gardner, and he's going to manage to just do it as they head into the exit. Nearly drops 2 wheels off into the dirt again, but comes out on top and will hold on to that position, but they've lost a bit of time to Reese Howell and co with the fact that they've been battling so hard.
I reckon Harlow's pulled in a little bit now on Riley Preston. He's dropped Dean Ross. He's starting to fall away, and Preston feels a need to cover the inside for the hairpin. Harlow is back up and challenging for the race lead. Gardner gets back by Vartanian. Heddershide looking at the back of Bestwick, finding no route through.
This little battle just inside and just outside the top 10 as well. Really heating up. They were nearly 3 wide into the hairpin on that lap. So really no one leaving anything on the table, and they're all nose to tail as well. So one mistake from anyone, and that's going to be 2 or 3 positions possibly. But Grant Matterford also doing pretty good down in 22nd. But the battle for the lead is really closed up once again with Harlow all over the back of Preston still.
Ooh, that was 2 converging lines down into MG. Very easy to make contact as Mazomo cut down in front of Sam Ross. Bit of damage on the back of Heddershire's bumper as well. That won't be hampering him too much, but someone, probably Mazomo, has been doing the old Morse code very aggressively on the back of that 111 Esports car. As we look back from that bumper now, down the main straight, as the draft effect comes into play right as they top out at top speed, and then they flick it into turn 1, incredibly high speed corner. This is interesting up at the front because it seems like Preston is very fast through the middle to last sector, but then Harlow's very good. Obviously with the slipstream down the straight and then into sector 1 as he looks up the inside. Oh, go back to the lead, Jay. They've made contact, but Harlow's got through.
Yeah, a little bit of panel rubbing from Harlow to launch it up the inside and bump
He's folded it off the racetrack.
No!
Preston skates through the kitty litter, just keeps it off the tyre bundle. The car was a little bit out of shape after the rub with Harlow, and in the end, he just grabbed the grass as he tried to flick it into Siberia. Now he's in a very awkward spot trying to get back on the racetrack. I wonder if he's actually got damage.
I wonder if he's got damage, yeah.
No way has that damaged his car. It was such a little bit of contact.
Yeah, he's crabbing really bad as well, trying to get the thing back to pit lane, unfortunately. So possibly going to be a penalty incoming for Harlow here.
Well, the contact was so innocuous. It almost was like, you know, a typical touring car bump and grind. You know, side to side through the corner, unless he's caught his wheel. Is the only reason I can think of for the damage to Preston's car, because he did keep it out of the tyre bundle. Late dive from Harlow, caught him napping, got up the inside. The contact came sort of on the exit right there. Hard to tell from that angle, but you can see already the car doesn't look happy.
Yeah, it's really weird. I've seen bigger hits than that in these cars, and there's been no damage. So, yeah, really strange as to what's happened there for Preston, but clearly some damage that has made the car very much a handful, and he's in pit lane.
I wonder if just the fact that as Harlow slammed into the side of him, Maybe that front right wheel was protruding just a little bit past, the bodywork of the car, and Harlow's car hit that wheel. And it's been enough to bend it into an awkward position. Kobe Williams has a look up the inside of Siberia. That's on Salgalenti. No, that's Dean Ross. Ross has fallen into the clutches of these guys. And now he's beating and banging. Be careful, because the cars look fragile out there today as they run door-to-door through Hayshed. And Galenti, he is in there. He's that car out of the inside of Dean Ross. He loses 2 spots. Wait, what?
That is definitely Sal Galente that you were talking about. Dean Ross is still in second, so you've kind of missed the mark there, Ryan. But nevertheless, it's very much a very close battle at the moment. Between this group of cars, and Reese kind of just sitting in behind them as well, waiting for a mistake from one of these drivers so he can take advantage. But Vartanian is all over the back of Galente here as they head down the front straight.
You know what happened? Galente's livery updated between the last time I looked at him and then, and it's updated to the same livery as Dean Ross because they're teammates, so that's what the confusion there was. Reese Howe up there in 4th then, and yeah, Vartanian challenging the back of Galente, who did not have a great lap. And almost copped a whack from Vartanian there, who forces his way to the inside. There's not really room there, buddy, and he has to back out of it.
Yeah,
Mammoth battle behind them too, by the way, behind Bestwick.
Yeah, there certainly is, and Heddershide's going to look to make a move here on Beswick up the inside as they head down towards the Honda hairpin. Heddershide's going to be on the outside, of Mazomo's going to be looking at this as well. Contact between the two as they head into the corner, and Heddershide's just going to hold on to go round the outside. No, he's not. He's actually going to lose out to Beswick here.
A biff and a barge, and the spot remains in the hands of Eddie Bestwick. I was a little bit tight coming into the corner as Mazomo looks very worried about what he's seeing in front of him. Or Heddershide going for the bold look up the inside at Lukey Heights. We're looking at something else. There we go. And on the inside now for MG, this might work out well for Bestwick. And it does. Oh, he gives him a hip check out of the corner. And that slows him right down. Mazomo now going to try to drive around the outside of him. But he's on the outside for the final corner as well. He actually grabs some of the grass. Now they bang doors too. A lot of biff and barge going on out there today.
Yeah, certainly going to be a few beaten up panels on some of these cars. And Mazomo did look like he got squeezed by Heddershide as well on the exit there. So possibly not going to be a little bit too happy with that as Mazomo, but he's going to go around the outside of Heddershide here into turn number 1 to take that 10th place off, that 9th place off Heddershide. Now is going to have the eyes for to try and hunt down Beswick, but Heddershide, Ross and Hobby all going to be trying to find a way on by Mazomo here.
Back up the road, Gardner's looking very close to the back of Galenti, who covers into the hairpin and opens the door for Vartanian because Gardner went wide and Vartanian doesn't get the run. And he won't complete the move. He just backs out of it and lets Gardner slot back into line there. So, some really big battles out here. Williams holding them all off for 3rd and Bestwick holding them all off for 8th. He's up 7 spots now, by the way. One of our biggest, if not the biggest mover in the race. And he did most of that work early on.
Yeah, he certainly did do it early on in those first few laps. But I just noticed that Williams in this pack for the final podium spot have actually started to really catch up to Dean Ross. Ross did a 40.2 last time by, while Williams did a 39.6. So possibly issues here for Dean Ross.
This might be the last lap. Going to be incredibly close on time as Harlow crosses the line. Final lap now on the board. One more time around. Phillip Island for Harlow to put half of his second hand on the trophy.
Yes. It's certainly going to be interesting to see what happens in race 10, whether Harlow can indeed wrap this championship up. Still big question mark over whether he's going to get a penalty post-race possibly for the contact with Preston, but nevertheless, Williams really closing up on Ross again. 39.7 for Williams and a 40.3 for Ross, so I wonder if Ross is maybe a little bit short on fuel here.
Would seem like a Yeah, maybe, because it was incredibly tight to going the distance. Oh, Race Cop's a big hit, and somehow Vartanian comes off the worst for wear.
Yeah, Vartanian not going to be happy with that. It's now Mazomo is going to be side by side with Beswick as they head through towards Siberia. And Mazomo is going to come out on top ahead of Beswick here. Now, Heddershot's going to possibly look to make a move on Beswick at some stage, but Beswick all over the back end of Mazomo. He's possibly going to look to make a move, actually, as they head towards the heights. Mazomo covers, but Beswick forces the issue up the inside, and Mazomo's going to have to try and hold on to it. Barely does. And he's going to have to go defensive as they head down towards MG. And Mazomo is going to have contact between himself and Beswick nearly. And Beswick is going to run wide, and that's allowed Heddershot on through. Jackson
Harlow, though, untouched by the troubles behind. Going to take out race 1 of our championship finale. Lights ablaze. The G-Drive Eximia Esports man gets it done as Ross comes home in second ahead of Kobe Williams on the podium. Mazomo will beat Heddershot to the line. Here comes Eddie Bestwick with a run, but he can't quite get there. Still battling behind as well as they all flood to the line. What a great opening race here at Phillip Island.
Yes, certainly it was a great race in this first part of the final round. So looking forward to seeing what race 2 holds and who's going to end up being crowned champion.
The championship may be very much in the hands of Jackson Harlow. But if you stay tuned, we'll be unveiling the new season calendar that'll be starting in 2 weeks' time in a few minutes' time. But right now, let's go through our full race results from our sprint race here at Phillip Island. Still another race to come as well, don't forget. So Harlow wins by 5.7 seconds over Dean Ross and Kobe Williams coming home third. Reese Howe and Sal Galante rounded out that podium with Reese Gardner just behind. Mazomo, Heddershot, Bestwick, and Sam Ross were your top 10.
Then you got Andrew Hobby in 11th, Mario Vartani in 12th, 13th to Ashley Norman, 14th to Joshua Cavallaro, Benjamin Daly rounding out the top 15, 16th to Caleb Hyde, 17th to Spencer, 18th to Dunphy, 19th to Mediford, and rounding out the top 20 is Tim Cornt.
Jake Sperry finished as 21st after starting off the back, and then Aristakis, Patterson, Edwards, Wingard, Cousins, and Preston rounds out your field. Preston, the only retiree after that really unfortunate damage he suffered through the hairpin from the lead of the race. We'll go to a quick break on Simspeed TV. On the other side of this, we'll come back with our Season 5 schedule and qualifying for race number 2.
This is GT racing right now.
He's got traction, he's over the outside, both of them! Maloney!
Oh, he's taking Anderson. Anderson's up top. Oh my God! Big crash. Oh my goodness, half the field's gonna get rolled.
Second very close. These guys are want to make their way through the field very quickly. Oh, there we go. Oh no, that's massive. This is it. This is over. I can't believe this. Oh my God.
God, what?
Welcome back to Simspeed TV to Phillip Island to the championship finale of Season 4 for the Ozicar Turbo Touring Car iRacing Series. Jackson Harlow is so close to getting this one done for his brand new esport team, the real-life LMP2 team that have come to the esport world over in Europe. And he's got a 27-point buffer over Dean Ross heading into the round. That's now more in the region of 30 points. Reese Gardner in third, Sam Ross, Preston, Header Scheid. In fact, most of the drivers we saw in that Titanic battle inside the top 10, Cam.
Yes, certainly. It was an absolutely awesome race with all those championship contenders in some form of a battle, which was very heated all race long. So if race one's anything to go by, race two is just going to be absolutely action-packed. And with a pit stop in there, it's going to mix things up even more.
Yeah, it certainly will. But before we get into that, and before we get into qualifying, let's take a look at how Season 5 might pan out with the unveiling of the calendar. And here it is. As always, it's a 6-week schedule. It'll kick off in 2 weeks' time. Starting at Circuit of the Americas, the only track on the schedule we haven't visited before in Ozicar TCR competition. Then we head to Watkins Glen, and then the road course at Daytona, which has provided some wild races. And I think it's only on the schedule purely because it's the only track Harlow didn't do well at. Belle Isle up fourth. That's a straight circuit, Cam. That's going to be chaos. And then Twin Ring Motegi and Mount Panorama.
Yes, certainly. All very good tracks. Coda's going to be interesting to see how that goes with these cars. It's quite long, as we know, and quite fast and flowing, so it'll be interesting to see how Coda fares with these cars. But nevertheless, the rest of the calendar looks absolutely amazing, and really looking forward to seeing how it goes.
Well, at least if you make a mistake at Circuit of the Americas, you can get back on the racetrack and not have to take a tow back to pit lane. So that's a bonus to running there. We keep big field sizes unless they manage to run into each other, which I suppose, after what we've seen today, is quite likely. And it is, of course, TCR racing. A bit of beating and banging is encouraged, as long as it doesn't cross the line. So looking forward to that. If you want to sign up, make sure you go and like Ozicar on Facebook so you can be part of the first group of people notified of when registrations will open for that, which should be tomorrow. Now, let's head down to the racetrack and take a look at qualifying, which is about to begin in about 7 seconds' time. Riley Preston surely going to be looking for a bit of redemption here.
Yeah, he certainly will be, especially after the fact that he was more or less taken out in the first race after contact between himself and Jackson Susan Harlow. So no love lost between the two of them. So we'll see if the rivalry does continue and possibly has a little bit of extra fire in the belly, and whether we might even see a little bit of extra contact between Preston and returning serve.
Yeah, well, no action from race control as far as I'm aware. I don't expect there will be either, because it was just such a, standard piece of contact, really. Nothing malicious and no intent, and not really a result of a mistake. It's just two cars coming together, which 99% of the time results in both of them coming out the other side. As we watch Matthew Spencer, the number 19, heading down into the hairpin. This is his warm-up lap, so he's looking to get those tyres up to temperature, but it's getting pretty late down in the virtual Phillip Island, and track's pretty cold.
Yeah, it certainly is. Only 21 degrees and about 2:20 p.m. So not a lot of light left around this circuit. And it'll actually be interesting.
Did you say 2:20 p.m.?
I mean, 8:20 p.m. I was, yeah, that was a bit confusing seeing the 2-0.
Called a 24-hour clock, Cameron. You
Yes,
seen
I
those
know.
before?
Yes, I've seen them before. So,
Carry on.
but yeah, certainly going to be interesting to see how light is actually going to fare here with the fact that daylight is actually running out and whether we're actually going to end up in a situation where there possibly is a lack of light, more or less. Obviously, these cars have headlights, so you're going to be able to see, at least have half an idea of where you're going. But yeah, it's going to be interesting to see what happens as this race comes to its end.
Well, Phillip isn't exactly known for its night races. We've had a night race this season, Twin Row Motegi, last season at Daytona as well. There'll be two of them scheduled next season at both of those tracks, coincidentally. As we look at Jake Sperry here, looks like he's changed his camera around to the other side. So now we can all be blinded by the white light that is his window. As he leans forward for that extra 10% speed and tries to navigate the racetrack using the talent of his thumbs on that controller.
Yes, certainly it does reasonably well for the fact that he is running on a controller, and you obviously don't really think of people using a controller or a keyboard for that matter, even though there are some people that were out there when you talk about iRacing, but there is indeed those people out there who go to that effort of either not being able to have the equipment or they just refuse to use it. So it's going to be interesting to see how Sperry goes today, but nevertheless still goes reasonably well with the fact that he uses those thumbs.
New livery for Tim Korn as well, as seems to be the norm for pretty much all the Ozicar liveries that get redone. It looks pretty good. Quite good with the Simspeed logo on the front, but other than that...
It certainly stands out, especially with that lime green in these sort of dark conditions. You're not going to miss that car by any stretch of the imagination with how bright it is. But yeah, it's very, very out there, I guess you could say, and very photogenic, that's for sure.
Let's see what sort of pace it gives him then, as he will come across the line to complete his first flying lap of qualifying number 2. It's 1 minute 40.2, and that puts him 7th. Just ahead of Matthew Spencer.
Yes, and not actually that bad of a lap, and he's actually up with the likes of Eddie Beswick and Caleb Hydes and that, so he's sitting in a reasonably good position at this point in the qualifying session. Benjamin Dahlia also yet to set a lap at this stage, but currently on his second flying lap, so his first one it didn't count due to probably an off track, but Joshua Kawai coming through the final sector in the final corner now to finish his first flying lap, so we'll see what he can do. He comes down the main straight, running right out to the exit curb, using all the way to the top gear, comes across the line and will go 16th fastest.
That puts him ahead of Isaac Edwards, behind Pariana Stakis. Isaac, of course, running for the Harvey Bay Autoglass Race on Oz team. And Simon Mazzomo running for TechSense Fitstyle Motorsport. Grabbed 2 top 5s last time out. He was stoked with that, and we were all surprised by that as well. His form tonight, not quite as quick, but was certainly in the mix in race 1. Currently sitting 9th after that latest effort. Here's Bradley Wingard.
Yeah, going to see what Wingard can do here. New livery on that car as well, with him departing ways with the team of 111 Esports in the past week or so. So not going to really miss that livery that he's got on the car with its white, orange, and black. Actually does look quite nice, I must admit. It comes across the line, goes 18th quickest.
It will positively shine on the racetrack. Do you get it? Do you get the reference?
Sure,
he's got... I mean, still better than what Jay comes out with that none of you can hear back at home. So at least you can be thankful for that. Meanwhile, though, here's a storyline. JSH, he's 7th.
Yeah, a little bit down the order at the moment with only a 39.2. So possibly getting caught out by these extra cold conditions. His last lap didn't actually count, so might have gone a little bit quicker had he made that lap count. But nevertheless, we'll see what he can do on this third and final flying lap as Matterford comes across the line. He is going to set a time, and he will go to no position because it's not a valid. Oh no, it actually is a valid lap time. It goes to P23.
Cameron Cousins goes P26. Reese Gardner sat in 8th place at the moment. Caleb Hydes just running out the top 10 for now. He's had some tremendous pace, gradually improving. Some racetracks do seem to suit him better than others. Let's see how Phillip Island suits him, as that puts him up into 5th. How about that? All right, let's see. Let's see what Harlow can do. This is his final attempt of the session. Where's it put him? P2. Pressed him, got him by that much. 200ths of a second. It is on at the front. That battle is set to resume in our 25-minute feature in about 4 minutes' time.
Yes, certainly going to be a very, very heated battle, and Preston getting one up on his rival at the moment. So very, very shaken up order, actually, with the fact that you've got Reese Howell inside that top 5. Sam Ross in P3 as well. Beswick P7. Andrew Hobby P6. So it's a very shuffled up top 10.
Sam and Dean have done the old switcheroo, haven't they? They pretty much qualified where the other one did in race 1. Sam Ross was down the order. Dean Ross was up at the front. And now Sam's up at the front. Joshua Cavallaro, a little bit further back than we expect to see him in 21st. And that lap will put him 18th. So closer, but still might be a little bit disappointed with that. Mazomo will be disappointed if he doesn't improve here. Only 16th. And his last lap is a 1 minute 39.1. That puts him up at a 9th. Good improvement.
Yeah, very, very nice improvement from the Fitstide driver. There's also Vartanian is coming across the line now, currently sitting P14. He's going to improve to go P9, so he's just put Mazomo by barely anything in that lap.
300ths of a second between those two. Noticeably darker as well. 8:30 in sim time. It's November in the sim. Dangerously close to sunset, but we should be okay. Twilight race for Dean Ross as he races off into the sunset. 38.8, so where's it put him? P3. It's Ross and Ross on row 2.
Yeah, certainly the two Rosses and teammates as well on row 2. So look out from DSR Racing guys.
Grant Matterford, currently in 17th place. He's just behind Daniel Hedderscheid. He needs to find 0.4 of a second to get to Heddershine's time, but then also 0.4 up the road as Norman, 0.5 up the road as Tim Corn. So half a second would be very handy, and that lap's ruined. He's dropped it off the outside of the racetrack, and that'll probably be an invalidated lap. As a result, it was, I think, a 39.5, so it wouldn't have improved his time anyway. As time, speaking of which, will run out in this session, and this is how they will line up for our final race of Season 4. Riley Preston nabs the pole from Jackson Harlow. Dean Ross and Sam Ross start 3rd and 4th. Reese Howell and Kobe Williams starting from 5th and 6th. Andrew Hobby and Eddie Beswick on the 4th row of the grid. Salgalenti and Mario Vartanian will line up 9th and 10th.
Just outside the top 10 is going to be Simon Mazomo and Caleb Hydes. And then you've got Reese Gardner actually quite far down the order in 13th. Tim Court in 14th. Ashley Norman rounding up the top 15. Daniel Hedderscheid in 16th. 17th, Grant Matterford. 18th, Matthew Spencer Cavallaro and Dahlia rounding out the top 20 on row 10.
Isaac Edwards just missed out in the top 20. He'll have Pariana Stackers for company on the 11th row of the grid ahead of Bradley Wingard and Matt Dunphy, Jake Sperry, Jack Patterson, Cameron Cousins round out your field. The lights are on, but not the lights we're waiting for. The headlights are ablaze on the main straight. illuminating the main straight in more light than it's ever seen at night time at Phillip Island. And so Preston's start in race 1 was suboptimal, so to say. If he gets away similarly, he might find himself under threat coming into turn 1. If Harlow can convert like he did first time round, he'll be golden heading down into that first corner in 30 seconds time. And I wonder if Ross and Ross will work together maybe to try and elevate themselves in between that almost uncatchable duo. The only way they seem to be caught is if they're battling or coming into contact or throwing it off the racetrack. 21-degree track temp. So very cool conditions for our second race. About as cool as we ever see it here in Ozicar. Estimated race distance, not quite double what we saw in race 1. Throwing a pit stop into the mix as well for a minimum of 2 tyres. No one will take 4 though. It's a waste of time with just 25 minutes on the clock. Red lights come on in front of the headlights. And it's time to go racing for the final time of this season. Green flag in the air and a very good start from Harlow again. Preston's going to be under threat. Down into turn number 1, but he'll have the preferred line. Slow mover in the back of the pack. But they all get by him as Harlow tries to squeeze on the outside line. He squeezes in front.
Yeah, just managed to do it as Sam Ross is going to try and go around the outside of Eddie Bez. No, actually, that's going to be Reese Howell, and Howell's going to get left out to dry here by Kobe Williams as well, and he's going to falling into the clutches of Eddie Beswick as both Howell and Sam Ross run a little bit wide, and Howell's still off the racetrack. He's going to fall in behind Mario Vartanian, so he's dropped outside the top 10 now.
Howell saw how far off Ross went and said, I'll raise you one, as now Sam Ross does throw it off the racetrack. Side by side for the lead, Preston and Harlow. Preston got to the outside for the hairpin. It's given him the inside for Siberia. Harlow's caught with nowhere to go up top, and Dean Ross is again looking for a route through as these two do battle. Through Hayshep they'll run wheel to wheel. Inside line prevails. Harlow leads, but Preston again does not want to give this up.
Yeah, he certainly doesn't want to give this up, and he want revenge after what happened in race 1, as well as they're all going to go defensive, try and get up the inside. Bit of contact between them, bumping and rubbing, but going to stay in the order of the top 3 as it is. But just behind, it's absolutely going on. Forward positions just outside the top 10 with a massive train of cars.
Hard to pick out who's who behind the glare of the headlights. But we know who's who here. Snaking down the straight. Oi! Oi! Out into the grass. Went someone, and they rejoined safely, believe it or not. That was a high-speed trip. That was actually Reese Gardner, whose day, or night, seems to be getting worse and worse as it proceeds.
Yeah, just had a little bit of minor contact with someone. I couldn't quite see who it was. I think it might have been Daniel Heddershire, but nevertheless, they managed to just get away with it. But Preston really losing it out to Ross here.
Did he miss a shift? He dropped a bucket load of time down the straight. As check out Williams, ultra defensive on Andrew Hobby. And Vartanian's teammate Bestwick was up on the outside there as well. Sort of got caught with nowhere to go, and now trying to fight with Hobby, as here's a replay of Gardner's rejoin onto the racetrack. How did he end up out there, though? Was it by himself?
Pretty sure it was contact. As you can see, a car up the inside. It was actually Tim Corn, a little bit up the inside, bit of rear front contact, and Reese having to take a evasive action off down into the grass. Actually lucky he didn't make the fence, so managed to recover that one nicely, did Reese, but that left him well down the order in P17 now.
Harlow's pulled a little bit of a gap now, thanks to Preston's error. And Dean Ross is between them, sitting in second as Vartanian looks up the inside of Caleb Hides, is able to find a way through at the final corner, but he'll get a good exit because that's a tyre on the grass for Hides, and the momentum is now all in Vartanian's favour. As Salga Lenti goes by Bestwick down the straight, but he can't keep it there at turn 1.
Yeah, nearly contact actually on the exit between the two of them, but Beswick comes out victorious in that scrap there between those two. But now Dean Ross all over the back end of Riley Preston here as he's going to possibly try to set up a move as they head down towards the hairpin, and he's going to not look to the inside or just sit behind for the time being.
Well, Preston's faster. He's dropped behind him and already got back by. So Ross is probably happy to sit behind and maybe wait and see if Preston can go up and challenge Harlow. Maybe they'll come to blows and Ross can sneak through for a win.
Yeah, certainly is going to want to hope that he can score maximum points as Dean Ross is kind of a little bit out of possibly getting that championship at the stage, but otherwise he's going to be doing okay.
Certainly looks like he is going to claim this one unless disaster absolutely strikes. In fact, mathematically, I don't know if it is possible for him to lose it with a 27-car field, as Preston has got right up to his rear wing. Dean Ross still sitting third. Ross finished third. Where did Ross finish in race 1?
Was fourth or third, wasn't it? Yeah, so still going to be on for a secondary podium here, but Preston is now all over the back of Harlow here. Looks to the inside, but not quite going to be close enough to get the move done. But yeah, Ross trying everything he possibly can to look to find a way on by these two.
So that means it's about a 29 or 30-point gap heading into this race. There's 27 cars, which is the worst you could do in terms of points is whatever 50 minus 27 is 23. So technically, Harlow's won this already, hasn't he?
Technically, he has, but something happened on the front straight to actually norm a big incident as he heads down towards and into the tires. Look very reminiscent of one of the old school crashes back in the day in the Fiat Supercar series.
You can't remember who it was, can you?
I cannot.
Neither can I. I know what you mean, though. Daniel Hedderscheid with huge front-end damage to his car as a result of that as well. So I think the conclusion we've just come to is that Harlow has won this championship, barring a mathematical error on my part, which is likely, or he does cop a penalty from race 1. It's all unofficial till Ira says it's official.
Yeah,
which will be the next day or so.
Yeah, it would be. So it'll be a little bit disappointing if Jackson actually informally wins the championship here on the track and then gets penalised. So it'll be a little bit gutting for him, but nevertheless, we'll have to wait and see what the official result is in the end. And once the stewards talk, that's it. It's pretty much a done deal, but still doing a fantastic job at holding off Preston at this stage. But Galante all over the back of Beswick here for 6th place, and he's even got company with him in Reese Howell and Simon Mazzomo as they're all trying to find that little bit extra to get a move done.
This is well and truly a night race now, isn't it? Smokes, there's no light on the racetrack, bar what the headlights are producing is up at the front. Preston had a big look up the hairpin, just like in the mid-pack there. He couldn't get it done. They work it out in the midfield. Looks like they did. Big dive from Reese Howell on Galante. That doesn't work out in Siberia.
Yeah, it certainly didn't quite work out in the end, and Galante is going to hold on to the position for the time being. In fact, it's checked out a little bit as well from Howell and Mazzomo with the fact that Howell tried to make the move but ended up balking himself on the exit. But just ahead, at battle at the front of the field, still going strong, and just behind them as well, Andrew Hobby putting a lot of pressure on Kobe Williams as well.
So once again, a great battle right throughout the field from many of these positions as Kobe Williams brings it to pit road. First of our pitters then with 16 minutes to go in this second race. Galante's got the run here. What does he do with it? He goes to the outside, and if you look up in the distance, you'll see the side-by-side as well as Preston still can't make his way back by. Beswick does hold on as well. The inside worked very nicely for these guys. down at turn 1. That's the car off the racetrack. That's a wild rejoin. That was Galente.
Yeah, so what's happened there to Galente? He's gone through turn 1 and he's actually just done it all on his own. He was run wide over the grass and then come out the other side, luckily missing everyone in the process. But yeah, that's lost him a number of places and shuffled a few up the order.
Dean Ross sticking with these two here. Now, we often see Dean or Reese or whoever it is sitting third, stick with the top two, Harlow and Preston, for a little while, and then fade. But it does seem like Dean Ross is sticking with them a little bit longer than they normally do. So good pace from him at the moment.
Yeah, actually is really, really good pace from Dean Ross at the moment. We have to remember he's had a very, very strong season as well. So it's no surprise that he's managing to keep up with these guys at the front of the field. But yeah, it'll be interesting to see what happens when the pit stop phase comes into it and whether Dean Ross actually does lose anything here or whether he actually manages to gain any positions.
Andrew Hobby's all by himself up in 4th as Eddie Bestwick peels off and brings it to pit road. It's a dark and lonely Andrew to pit road at the moment, isn't it? Wow.
Yeah, it's certainly not the most inviting thing on the circuit at the moment with the lack of lighting and cars driving on the circuit. But Preston looking to go round the outside of Harlow and he's going to drop it off onto the grass and go well out into even the gravel, and he's going to lose, well, drop behind Andrew Hobby here, and he's possibly even going to nail it. Well, he doesn't quite drop behind Reese Howell, but that's at least dropped into probably 5th.
Ambitious, but a rubbish move. Trying to get around the outside of the southern loop. That was never going to work out. Not enough grip in these cars to make that one stick. No grip there, especially on this track right now.
Yeah, there's going to be a lot of marbles out there on the outside of that corner, so it's going to be very, very difficult to try and move around the outside of the southern loop. But got to give him effort. But yeah, props for trying at least to see if it would work. As Beswick's gone off the road, gonna not be contact with Kobe Williams and gets it back on the road nicely.
Sure, I just can't see where the outside turn what is anymore.
Well, you've got headlights, so you can technically see the curbing, but I guess it's that whole you've got no reference points like you do in the daytime. You're completely relying on what either the car ahead of you is doing or where your headlights are showing you.
Exactly right. Harlow comes to pit road. First of our leaders to make that decision. Riley Preston joins him, albeit a few seconds further back than he probably would have anticipated. Mizomo also decides to follow the leaders. So too Caleb Hides. So 4 cars down on pit road. Remember Sam Ross? He pitted very early. He pitted with 16 minutes left. He was our first one to do so. He's not in a bad spot here.
Yeah, he's actually not, and this is going to be quite interesting to see what happens. Although, no, Sam Ross hasn't actually pitted, so you're a little bit wrong. He went off at turn 4 on lap 1, remember?
So you say. You're probably right. Someone came in early. That much I do know. Spencer, inside of Dahlia, using the curb to help get the car rotated, but the outside of Siberia is about as useful as the outside of the southern loop, so Dahlia will hold that spot.
Well, but Spencer's going to come back at him, nearly an overlap, but not quite enough of a run for Spencer to try and go side by side through Hayshed, but he's looking very, very racy as Matthew Spencer at the moment looks to the inside to try and fill the mirrors of Dahlia with a lot of headlight, but not quite going to be able to get a move done.
I'm going to blame not being able to see which any of the cars are as to that mistake. Hobby comes to pit road. I only know that courtesy of the overlays. If we get a chopper cam of where Harlow is on the racetrack right now, you'll see how dark it is because the front half of his car is illuminated. The back half of it is in pitch black.
Yeah, it's certainly very, very dark out there. You definitely need a torch if you're walking around the circuit at this time of night or out there with no cars on track. But nevertheless, I mean, you probably actually need night vision goggles nearly to be driving, to be honest.
If you manage to hit the car in front of you and knock out your headlights, and boy, you in for a rough ride back to pit road. Luckily for Harlow, that shouldn't be an issue as Mizomo and Bestwick might have to be careful of that scenario. Right up onto the back bumper of Mizomo, side by side to the final corner. Here we go. This could be tight on the exit. Bestwick's got to make sure he doesn't let the car drift out wide, which he doesn't. Fantastic job. Now it's a drag race. Back down to turn 1. Car behind them is flashing his headlights. Who's that? That's Maro Vartanian. Spencer rejoins. Galente rejoins the racetrack as well as Bestwick does take it away from Mizomo.
Yeah, good job by Bestwick to hold on to the position. But actually a very, very good point that you raised there just before is if you actually knock your headlights off, there's no magical way to get them back apart from pitting stuff. You do actually knock them out, you're going to be in a lot of strife and some big trouble to get back to pit lane. But Mizomo looking very racy, going to look to the inside of Bestwick into the hairpin, but not going to be able to get the move done.
Caleb Hydes looks like he might be in a bit of strife. He's got the inside, I think. Yeah, he does. On Kobe Williams, I'm telling you, they both look like black cars from here. And that is Hyde now in front of Andrew Hobby, who got really close to having a look at Hayshed, but there was really no room that could ever work out. Dean Ross has brought it to pit road, so too is Reese Howell and Tim Korn. So that leaves just Benjamin Dahlia and Grant Matterford out front, yet to make their scheduled stop, as well as, of course, Jake Sperry, but he's a little bit further behind.
And he might lead a lap tonight as Harlow is going to go on by Dean Ross in the pit lane. Ross just leaving the lane now and is going to come out in second, and by quite some margin, actually. So very clearly in second. Preston's managed to just hold on to a podium here with that off that he had earlier on with a nice bit of pit strategy, but nevertheless Caleb Hyde's coming under a lot of pressure from Andrew Hobby. He's just gone up the inside. That's Eddie Beswick, he's battling with Andrew Hobby. Going to be on the inside. Beswick going to try going around the outside. He's gonna just hold on to it.
Good respect being shown, just enough racing room being given as Beswick has his nose in front. He's got the preferred line. Hobby, there's no way he can defend this except if Beswick makes a mistake. Too deep, overcommitted, off the racetrack he goes, and as it turns out, Hobby can defend that spot.
Yes, certainly proving that the unthinkable of going around the outside at the Southern Loop is indeed actually possible. So great effort by the man himself to manage to pull off a move we didn't think was possible based on what happened to Riley Preston, but nevertheless, there you go.
Benjamin Dahlia comes to pit road, leaving Matterford and Sperry on the lonely charge of the overcut. On board with Vartanian, who goes to the switchback. He had to check up there because Sal Galente was really compromised coming off the exit. He balked the car in the middle of the corner to try and prevent that crossover from Vartanian. He does get to the inside for the final corner, but we're looking further up the order now. This is Dean Ross and Riley Preston. They're riding wheel to wheel. They're having a drag race down to turn number 1. Looks like Ross on the inside, Preston around the outside he goes. And a takeaway P2. Unless... Oh, no, Ross has done what Preston did earlier on. He's gone off the outside of the Southern Loop.
Indeed he has. It's actually going to really, really hurt him a lot, actually, as he's going to drop well behind down the... He's actually going to drop behind Simon Mizomo, so...
Is that the gauge for a bad mistake if you drop behind Mizomo? This has been a bad mistake. He's going to actually drop behind Mizomo. Poor Simon.
He'll hate me for that one. Off the team. I'll see myself out.
Oh, that's a bit of contact between Caleb Hydes and Reese Howe. And they both escape. But it's going to open the eyes of Hobby. And no, Howe's been turned around. And that's a massive shunt. mammoth shunt for Hides and for Howe at about, what are they doing there? 180 kilometers an hour. Tim Corners, he blazes by the scene of the accident.
They hit the wall at 130 kilometers an hour, so that is a solid impact. But at least it was tires, so it probably wouldn't have hurt too badly.
Plus, it's a sim. But parts flying. New damage model getting to fully shine, technically, under the non-existent lights. I noticed the headlights got knocked out of Race Howe's car as well. Thankfully for him, there was so much damage, he didn't have to worry about having to having to limp back to pit lane because he needed to take a tow anyway. But he did prove that headlights can get knocked off. That is probably an unavoidable accident, though. You gotta say it, considering it was relatively a straight piece of racetrack. Meanwhile, this is effectively a P4 battle. So Mizomo is actually in a good spot here. He's back inside the top 5, continuing his form from Bathurst.
Yeah, certainly looking to try and continue a nice string of results, but he's going to have Dean Ross not too far behind him as he looks up the inside of Andrew Hobby and has got the move done.
That was too easy almost. Hobby got caught unawares. Mizomo went for the really late move, something we've seen Harlow look for a couple times today, and worked out a treat for him. Just listening to a race control decision, a post-race penalty for... Look, I'm going to assume Reese Howe. I didn't catch the first part of it. Howe, yeah. So it is for Reese Howe, post-race penalty for him, not leaving racing room to Caleb Hides on his inside.
It's not really going to help Reese Howe all that, well, hurt him too much anyway, seeing as he's still in pit lane.
Yeah. Speaking of, where's Grant Manafort? Still on racetrack? Yep. And Jake Sperry is now 3rd. He's fallen behind Harlow, who claims 2nd place. He is your net race leader, don't forget. And we're riding on board with Dean Ross, who is looking set to claim 2nd in the championship here. Riding around an 8th right now, which will be 6th once it all shakes out, i.e. Manafort and Sperry pit.
Yes, certainly we'll resume at the race lead once Medford pits, and Preston will take 2nd once those 2 pit. But interestingly enough, Kobe Williams is on for a podium here, so good result for him. But now Simon Mizomo is under a lot of pressure with the fact that Andrew Hobby is looking to try and find a way by. He's going to look up the inside at the hairpin to return serve from the previous lap and is going to do it. But Mizomo going to try and hold it around the outside. But now Dean Ross is going to get involved in this battle here.
It looked like Mizomo might have slowed himself up on the outside a little bit too much. I thought for a moment he was going for the crossover, but he decided to hold it. And in the end, it was a very good decision. He lunges back and gets this position back at Siberia. Oh, I'm getting flashbacks as Hobby is now side by side heading into Hayshed with Dean Ross.
Dean Ross is going to look to the inside. It's going to be on the outside for MG, and Hobby's going to be on the inside and take that one away.
Someone's gone around. It is someone. Quality compensating right there. Daniel had a shine, and even in the dark, that car is easily distinguishable. Thanks to... Oh, no, it's not. Damn it, Jay. Yeah, no, but that is header shine. His purple machine has copped quite some damage.
Yeah, not quite sure what's happened there, but the car definitely did look quite beaten up. Bit of contact with Ashley Norman as well. So, and he's actually been driving around for quite some time with a beaten up car. So possibly is figured that the car's actually a lot more damaged than he thought it was to begin with. He's
made a mistake and spun, I think, through MG and just waited for a safe space to rejoin the racetrack as Hobby is on the outside through the kink into the hairpin. Inside run now. Dean Ross, remember, trying to capitalize and get by him. He completes the move around the outside on the brakes. That's a pretty good effort. And Mizomo will be next up on his hit list.
Yeah, certainly we'll be trying to make a little bit of a recovery here. Will Dean Ross, unfortunately, there's going to be contact between Benjamin Dahlia and I believe that's Tim Corn. Yes, so fortunately, those two coming together, but it's all on between those three at the front for that final spot inside that top 5, and it's not all on behind them as well. Not too far behind between Vartani and Gardner, and Galente trying to look and see if he can find a way on by Gardner here.
Madison and Sperry have come to pit road because the white flag will be displayed for your race leader, Jackson Susan Harlow. There's one more lap here at Phillip Island for Season 4 on the Ozicar Turbo Touring Car Series before we take a week off and then come back in a fortnight's time for Season 5. And Galente looking to cap it off with a top 10 to the inside of Reese Garden to the final corner. Gives him the run down the straight, and that is moved done into turn number 1.
Yes, so good move by Sal Galente, but Reese possibly going to try to come back in a miss. It's a very big moment for Dean Ross.
Hobby and Ross are both off the racetrack. They're both in the kitty litter. And now Dean Ross rejoins in front of Eddie Beswick. Hobby behind. Here's the replay. Ross is off the racetrack through turn 1. Oh, no! And that might actually incohibit penalty. Only way he escapes is if he was pushed onto the grass by Andrew Hobby through the first corner.
Yeah, no, that's his own fault. No contact between the two of them, but how close was Mizomo to getting hit there? It was literally inches after Ross hit Hobby in the side. So very, very lucky for Simon Mizomo, but I think that's pretty much championship done for Dean Ross, unfortunately. Even if Harlow did have a bad race, it was going to be hard-pressed regardless, and that's just finished it off.
Say this with confidence here. Jackson Susan Harlow, unbeatable, untouchable. Season 4 Aussie Car Touring Car Champion is JSH from G-Drive Eximia Esports. Gets his first championship win under that belt.
Yeah, very, very solid season from Jackson. He'll be stoked to get that first championship under his belt for his new team. Kobe Williams rounds out the podium. Mizomo comes home P4 with Hobby rounding out the top 5. Actually, it will be Marvo Taney who will come home with the final spot inside that top 5 after just holding off Sal Galente.
Good effort. Oh, no! Oh, no! Huge crash. That's Cavallaro and Sam Ross. Cavallaro copping some massive airtime as he got pancakes between the concrete fence and Sam Ross's car.
Yeah,
what on earth?
That was a massive incident, and just Sam Ross actually making contact with, well, pretty much just turning the car of Joshua Cavallaro into the wall, rubbing, and then straight into the concrete it was. And what an impact it was for Cavallaro. Somehow managed to straighten it back up and carry on to finish, but Sam Ross ends up tumbling down the order.
Can't see much from this camera shot, but there's the sky. That tells you enough. I'm impressed at how much momentum Cavallaro's car kept up. He just kept rolling to the line, whereas Sam Ross ended up losing a whole bunch of time. And a spot, I do believe, as well. I believe that's an actual live image of the racetrack that we are looking at. It is. Let's take a look at our results from what I don't think was supposed to be a night race at Phillip Island. In the end, it was spectacular enough. Under the lights. Not under the lights. Harlow comes across with a 7.3 second gap to win the championship and the race. Preston is second. Kobe Williams picks up a podium. Mizomo and Vartani in 4th and 5th. Sal Galente in 6th. Reese Gardner, Eddie Beswick, Dean Ross, Andrew Hobby making up your top 10.
Matthew Spencer will come home in P11. Grant Manaford P12. Benjamin Daly in 13th. Cavallaro 14th, despite being airborne across the, well, not quite across the line, but on the final run to the line. Isaac Edwards rounds out the top 15. 16th to Perry Anastasia. 17th, Jake Spear. 18th to Sam Ross. Wingard, it comes in 19th. And rounding out the top 20, Matt Dunphy.
The last 7 drivers, Jack Patterson, Tim Corner lap down, then retirement in the names of Reese Howe, Caleb Hyde, Daniel Hederscheid, Ashley Norman, and Cameron Cousins. Let's have a chat to Jackson Harlow, race winner, round winner, championship winner too, Jackson. Congratulations.
Yeah, thank you. It's been a really fun series. It's been cool racing all my mates and stuff that I yeah, see in real life at the track all the time. So yeah, been really fun.
Was pretty dark in that second race, not gonna lie. Wasn't expecting that. Did that have much of an effect on you, how on the racetrack?
I wasn't expecting it to be dark, but I thought it was mega fun. It's really
Yeah.
racing in the night, especially there. There's no lights, so it's you've kind of got to remember your turning points, your braking markers. So it's really all muscle memory when it's like that. So yeah, it was really cool. I really enjoyed it, and yeah, it was a good battle with Riley up for a couple of laps there. I think he outbroke himself a little there, but yeah, it was good fun regardless.
Hey, what about race 1? You had a similar battle with him, and then the world's lightest piece of contact resulted in major damage to his car. Did you sort of notice that? How did it feel from your car? Because it looked like you just made, very easy side-by-side contact, and his car was broken.
Yeah, 100%. It was just a little rub. Like, that stuff shouldn't have really affected it. Like, we're both racing hard. We're both trying to win the race, so we're throwing everything at it. So a little rub like that should be okay. So I don't know why it damaged his car. Like, it basically ripped the front wheel out of it. He just couldn't turn. So I've had that happen to me before, but it was, yeah, pretty weird. My car felt pretty good still. I think it just damaged a bit of the side. Yeah, I don't know. It still turned all right. Still, the rear was all right. So don't think it was that bad.
So, championship win, and, well, I would class this as your first championship win for G-Drive Eximia.
Yeah, first championship win for G Drive. Yeah, only championship I've done for G Drive. So I hope a few more wins can come that way. It's really cool to just get a bit of exposure for them. Like, obviously, not many people have heard of the sim team much, so it's cool to get the name out there, try and get some results, even if it's like it's not up at the top world championship level just yet, but I think we'll get there eventually. But for now, we just got to keep trying to get the name out there, get some good results, and yeah, that's what we need to do, I guess.
Well, I think obviously being an LP2 team, certainly resources enough at the disposal of you drivers. Now, do you have the sponsor list ready this week? Do you know what sponsors you need to thank?
I've been away for the last week since I finished the race last week, so I apologise for that. But I've sent my team a message like dead set probably 15 minutes ago, just after that race. Oh, not even 15 minutes ago, I guess. And he'll send me through it when he gets on, I guess. It's really hard when the time zones are so different. So I should have him for next time. But just a massive thanks to G Drive, Eximia, all the boys there. And yeah, everyone that I raced against and all you guys for doing an awesome job in the comms box.
Hey, well, thank you for joining us, and hopefully we see you back next season. Go check out the broadcast to see what the season schedule's like. That's between race 1 and 2. Go celebrate that championship.
Yep, cheers, thank you.
So Jackson Harlow gets it done in commanding fashion, I think we all expected, Cam. And now I believe you're going to catch up for a little chat with Riley.
Yes, indeed. Well, Riley, it wasn't quite the championship, but still pretty decent season for you regardless.
Yeah, it wasn't too bad. I mean, the races tonight didn't really go to plan for me. I really don't know what happened in the first race. I just little tap with Jackson, and the steering was completely broken, which was a bit unfortunate. And then, yeah, in the second race, I think it was a little bit dark. I couldn't see the corner, and I just missed the apex completely.
Yeah, certainly. Race 2 was quite an unexpected turn of events with it being dark. Did you enjoy it at all in race 2 with it being a little bit different with it being dark, or was it quite difficult from your perspective?
It was more difficult, but it was the same for everyone. And yeah, I do think it was quite enjoyable as a bit of a change from the usual.
Well, with the fact that you've been doing this for number of rounds now and seem to have been doing quite well, will we see you back next season?
I hope so. The turnaround's pretty quick with the season, so I'll see how I go over the break if I need a bit of a recovery. But hopefully, yeah, and hopefully I can put up more of a fight with Jackson next season.
Hopefully that is the case. But before we let you go, just any thanks and any shouts you want to give.
Yeah, thanks to the team at Evolution Racing Team. And thanks to all my fans supporting me through the season, my 3 fans.
Well, nevertheless, great to have you in the comms box, and best of luck for hopefully next season. But Ryan, I believe you are going to be standing by with third place.
Yeah, Kobe Williams, good drive today, getting up into third place at the end. Got to be happy with that.
Yeah, definitely happy with that. I'll take it, I guess, after a couple of mistakes by other people. Definitely got dark in the end there, so that obviously changed people's driving, I guess.
Yeah, how did that throw you off then? I don't think anyone was expecting that.
Oh, no, definitely not. I ran off at the end there. Couldn't see where I was going.
Yeah, need to eat more carrots, mate. That's what it's all about, and you'll be able to see in the dark. Haven't your parents told you that? Good drive though, and of late, definitely improving. And we've seen you in the comments box a couple times now for an interview. So looking towards season 5, schedule just announced. We're heading to Dakota, Daytona, Belle Isle. I forget the rest. But good calendar. What are your hopes then for next season?
Oh, definitely interesting. A lot of long straights, a lot of towing, and that's what the cars like. These cars like the tows, so it'll be something different, I guess.
Yeah, certainly will be. The qualifying pace versus your race pace does seem to be a bit of a disparity there. Do you think qualifying might be something you need to work on a little bit?
Yeah, qualifying in these cars definitely hard because it's hard to get the tyre warmth into rears, so you're sliding around a lot. It's definitely something I need to improve on, but the race pace seemed to really good in there, so yeah.
Hey, who do you want to thank for getting you up on the podium today?
I'd like to thank A1 Engines, DR Kart, Chris at Six Sims for my custom seat he did, Cichlids, and everyone else that helped.
Hey, well, thank you for joining us, Kobe. Go celebrate that podium, and hopefully we have a few more chats next season.
Yeah, thank you guys. See ya.
That's Kobe Williams coming home on the podium at the end of race number 2. That brings us to the end of the championship. But as we have seen already, championship schedule for season 5 has been announced. So now joining us for a quick chat here is the man behind it all, the brains behind the business of Ozicar, is Ira Felberg.
Yeah, thanks, lads. Thanks for having me. Well, it was a pretty good race, I thought. What did you guys think?
Yeah, pretty good. The light situation, was that planned?
I want to say yes, but no, look, I'll be honest, it wasn't. And I'll tell you what, I did a test during the week because I always test these things first. And it didn't get dark until after the second race. So I'm not sure if I'll have to check my settings if I made a mistake there. Maybe the cloud cover is the only thing I can think of that I did that I might have done different. But yeah, it's very strange because they did the same thing at Bathurst and it was fine. So I don't know if it sunsets quicker at different tracks. So yeah, something I'll have to file away and look. I'd love to say it was planned, but in the end, it was something different anyway. It looked a bit different, and it was the last race. So yeah, it was all good. They could still see. So yeah.
Certainly looked good out there as well on the broadcast. Now, obviously, running a series, you're never going to be able to agree with everyone. And being part of race control as well, race control decisions are always contentious, no matter what decision it is. But overall, how happy are you with how things have gone this season? And what are you looking to change heading into season 5?
Yeah, I'd say pretty much everything was pretty good. I can't complain about too much. We swapped over from doing race control, like outsourcing it halfway through the season, to doing it in-house. And I think that's the way to go. I've got like a good bunch of people. I advertised there and ended up getting about 10 or 15 applicants. So some guys with good experience. And I think just doing it in-house is probably just the way to go. And no one's going to do as good a job as what you do on yourself, sort of thing. But having said that, I really have one big regret for the season, and that was the Riley, Preston, Jackson contact at Okayama, where it was a very unusual situation. But for those who don't remember, basically what happened was Riley just tagged the inside of Jackson and pushed him wide, but it was on the last lap, and he didn't actually know he'd made contact. And I believe Riley, obviously, because that's happened to me before. You know, it was close, but it didn't feel the contact. And because it was the last lap, we didn't have time to put the penalty in. And so it was a post-race penalty, which in my opinion was just way too harsh. It dropped Riley like down 20 spots, and it pretty much stuffed his championship. And I was straight on to him, and I apologised, and I said, look, man, I'm sorry. It was one of those things in racing, you know, you can watch racing for 30 years, guys, as you know, and then you'll still see something that you've never seen before. So we're going to call it the Riley Preston rule, and I'm basically going to make a post-race redress so that we can add a redress after the race. So really what should have happened was Riley should have just gone down one spot behind Jackson, because, you know, we all want to see a championship go all the way to the end. And
Yeah.
just for a small contact like that, it cost him 20 points, and in my opinion, it was way too harsh. So that was kind of the main disappointing thing for me for the season. But other than that, we had the new license points, and I think that worked out good, you know, because what it did was iron out the repeat offenders. And other than that, I really can't complain too much, and I look forward to next season.
Well, we've got to work with the rule book you write, and what you wrote was executed well this season. Always room for improvement, and we are going to have it next season. Looking forward to that new rule being in action, because there's going to be plenty more contact for sure heading into season 5. It's the TCR series. You know, they're going to be beating and banging. But thank you for joining us, Ira. We got a dash. We got another broadcast coming up on Simspeed TV. And thank you again for all of your hard work putting this series together, and the Skippies and the V8s on a Friday night.
Yeah, thanks, guys. And I just really want to quickly thank Simfinity, RSW Graphics, and Sideways Photography for their support this season. Thank you.
Thank you for joining us. Once again, Ira, we're going to wrap things up. As you just heard, we have another broadcast coming up in 8 minutes' time. Stay tuned on Simspeed TV. Go find the link on YouTube, or keep your notifications on Facebook. Hard and Fast gets underway from Barcelona. So, for Ozicar, we say thank you for tuning in and good night. My name is Ryan Jones. Cameron Dance alongside me and Jay Kennedy behind the scenes. We'll see you next time.
This is fantastic. This is GT racing right now.
He's got traction, he's going around the outside of both of them! Maloney!
Oh, he's taking Anderson. Anderson's up to
Oh my God!
Big crash. Oh my goodness, half the field's going to get involved.
Second very close. These guys I want to make their way through the field very quickly.
Oh, here we go. Oh no.
That's massive! This is it! This is over! I can't believe this! Oh my god!
God, what?